All right, let's get into it. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney, whether you're betting on big upsets or a 1 seed. It's time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200. Use on-point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and bet on all college hoops until they cut the nets down.
Is anybody daring to bet against UConn?
Yeah.
Be hard.
This is the most boring tournament men's season I've ever seen in my life.
I have very little interest.
There's no drama.
Yeah.
They and I even thought I was going to put a little spread. I bet that San Diego State would cover 11.5, and it wasn't even close.
No. I mean, they had that in 6 minutes.
My goodness.
Another 30-point win. The question now is, I saw them debating this yesterday on ESPN. The question isn't are they going to win. The question is anybody going to play them within single digits?
That probably would be one close.
Jay Williams firmly believes no.
Yeah.
Seth Greenberg, who I know and love and work closely with for a long time, said he thinks that perhaps Illinois, with the way they play, more upbeat tempo, that they could possibly play them within 10. But I think the drama's gone. I think they're going to punch their ticket all the way for 2 in a row. All right, I'm going to let you start. I know you're pent up and ready to go about this Guardians team. What's your reaction?
And first of all, listen, before the game, I was not happy with the lineup. I didn't like that. Bo Naylor was not in lineup. And in fact, so everybody when I put that out there, it was like, well, he's going to be Bieber's personal catcher.
No.
They said no.
Yeah,
Stephen Vogt told Hammy, because I was listening to Hammy last night. I was watching the game. I synced it up.
Right.
And he said that Stephen Vogt specifically said there's no personal catcher.
Yeah.
That he just wanted Hedges to play 2 of the first 4 games. All right. I'd still like Naylor in the lineup. Now, I would have put him in for Fry, but Fry had a great game.
I loved your it's funny when you look back on things. You're like, you were concerned about the middle of the lineup in Bull with good reason. There's not a lot of punch there.
Well, I didn't like Laureano hitting third.
Right.
I wanted Jimenez higher up in the lineup. But in the end, great game by the Guardians.
Sure.
They did everything right. They played very well on defense. They had that 1 inning when they scored a bunch of runs. They got helped by that Austin Hedges ground ball, which they scored a hit, but I thought that was an obvious error.
E3.
Yeah, well, it was. They gave him a hit, but only 1 RBI. They gave the first baseman the air, which was surprising to me.
It's the throw.
I thought it was the throw, too. The throw clearly pulled him off the bag.
Right.
Look,
But
Oakland, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Oakland. That scoring decision was like the least crazy thing from last night, because if you were watching the game, the one shot that is going to be burned in my mind forever. Oakland's a great baseball town. In the 70s, they won World Series. They were always competitive. There was a protest. When they took the opening shot in the telecast last night, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I mean, the stands were empty.
The official attendance was 13,000.
And this is the day where everybody sells out.
Weren't they booing at the end of the game?
Well, what happened, they were booing, but what happened was there was an organized protest. That fan base has been very organized throughout the turmoil over the last couple of years.
Those people.
They're great fans.
Yeah.
The city of Oakland has been playing hardball with the owner. The owner is out to lunch, doesn't know what he wants to do. It's rumored that they're going to build a new facility in Vegas for them, and they're going to move the team there. Although I wouldn't bank on that yet.
Yeah.
But what was crazy was they showed during the game a wide shot of the stadium parking lot.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Right.
And all the fans were there having their own party. The protest was, we're going to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to express our displeasure by not going in to watch the game.
Yeah,
so
they were
basically
celebrating.
listened to it on their radio.
And the team is terrible.
Wow.
I mean, it's a terrible team.
It's a minor league team.
Yeah, and so I feel bad for those fans, and I don't know where they're going to play next year. They may play in Sacramento.
That's
they may play in minor league park the next.
Yeah.
So who knows? But the best thing about the game last night, and again, I know the A's lineup is a minor league lineup. There's no debating that.
Yeah.
But it was just how Shane Bieber looked.
Right.
I mean, he looked like Shane Bieber again.
Regardless of who he was doing.
Regardless, yes, he's going to be even more dominant
velocity
against a bad lineup.
Sure.
But he looked phenomenal. I mean, he was on point. He had great pace. He had great movement. He had everything was right for him. And that was great to see, because if the Guardians, who look to me like, on paper is a middling team because their lineup has question marks, if they're going to win this division, which is possible because nobody in this division is that good, it's going to be on the shoulders of the pitching led by Shane Bieber. They've got to be great, because the Guardians have the best rotation in this division, And if they're going to make the playoffs, the rotation's got to be great. It's got to live up to its potential.
Right.
And it starts with Bieber, and it started great last night because he was absolutely lights out. They could have thrown him another inning. I think Vogt made the right call.
I was screaming one more.
I know. I always want to see those.
Because his pitch count was so low.
I know. I get why he did. They had a big enough lead that he was like, all right, let's get some
and
of the
because
bullpen.
of the injury last year.
But I'm with you. When I have a horse like Bieber, I want him to pitch as much as he can.
Yeah.
Also,
I think because there was no drama in the game, he wanted to get some bullpen work.
Absolutely.
I totally get it.
Yes.
I understand the 6 innings. I wouldn't even second guess that decision. I'm just saying as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And
you
as
want to
someone
see him go another inning.
You got to drag off the mound.
Yeah.
I think he wanted another inning.
Oh, absolutely.
And I, as a fan, wanted to see it for another inning.
He was pitching pissed off. It was this smoldering thing. I'm watching the game. I'm staying up late watching it. And there's something to be said for somebody who won't pay you what you feel you're worth. And I thought when I saw him pitch, there's 2 things that stuck out. First of all, shout out to you for getting you a changeup. How do you just go? He just comes in and just says, you know what, let me just develop a new pitch. You can speak to how difficult that is later on in your career. Not only did he give you the changeup, his off-speed pitch had crazy just movement on it. It was dancing everywhere. For it to be April, I don't know how warm it was out there, but I know what it feels like in that bay.
Yeah, mid-50s.
For his ball to have that level of movement in the first outing was crazy. And it was going like this. This was like playoff Bieber. Like, I'm like, these guys are getting mowed down one after another. So right now, he put everybody on watch. I'm out here. I'm working on my game. I feel like I'm still a top flight pitcher. And the whole season, he set it up where we're going to be like this is kind of hard to get rid of a guy who's throwing the ball like this. If he continues to throw like that, it's difficult for any organization to say, let's put him on the block. He's going to make it difficult because when this right here, that's Cy Young Bieber. He looked like he was 2-3 years removed right here.
They had a lot of bad swings, Oakland, and even their 4 hits, like I think only 1 was hard hit. It was few bloopers.
2 of them were opposite field.
Bloops.
To that point, Bull, after the first 3 outs, he struck out the side.
Yeah.
I said, watching at home, he could throw a no-hitter tonight. And that's going to leave Stephen Vogt in a really precarious position. Because the Cleveland Guardians are the franchise that are on the clock in terms of no-hitters.
Yeah. That's crazy.
They haven't thrown a no-hitter since Len Barker's perfect game in 1981.
81.
Which is mind-blowing.
82,
it's mind-blowing that it's been that long.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of close calls. But I initially, and I'm always this guy, by the way. My son laughs when we watch games together. After the first 3 outs are made, I'll go, no-hitter. He's like,
he had that kind of stuff last night.
I believe that with the kind of stuff that he had and the lineup that he was facing,
that factor,
that Stephen Vogt could have been in a really difficult position in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings because as he watched his starter, who's coming off injury last year, get into a deep pitch count situation, but he has a no-hitter, you can't take him out. The only no-hitter thrown in the history of Major League Baseball on opening day was done by Bob Feller with the Cleveland Indians.
I didn't realize
so to have an opportunity to go into that kind of stratosphere, Stephen Vogt would not have been able to pull him out.
No.
So early in the 2nd inning, when they got the cheap base hit the other way, I immediately said, I'm sure Vogt wasn't even thinking that way yet. But I'm like, well, that takes one really difficult decision off Vogt's plate.
That's the type of lineup, too, because not only are they bad, but they're young, so they're going to be overly aggressive.
Sure.
And Bieber's throwing strikes, so they're going to be anxious not to get in an 0-2 hole. And they were swinging the bat, for the most part. I think he walked 1 guy.
He did have 1 walk. 11 Ks.
Yeah.
He's now he joins a group of about 5 or 6 other pitchers.
Right.
All of them who are going to the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Who has double-digit strikeouts on 3 different opening day occasions. For whatever reason, and everybody gets amped up on opening day. You want the baseball in your hands to start the season. So all the pitchers are aces or A-plus front of the rotation guys. Right. He's now one of about 5 guys that is second on that list. Only one pitcher has 4 times on opening day had double-digit strikeouts. Bieber rose to the occasion and did it again.
Part of the reason, especially nowadays, why it's rare, even though there's aces going, is because guys don't pitch that many innings.
True.
Back when you were a kid, when I was a kid, the opening day starter would go the distance quite often.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's hard to get double-digit strikeouts early in the season because they're extra cautious. If that start happened in the summer, he would have gone the 7th inning.
He would have, for sure, because he would have been stretched out by then.
Right. But
funny you said that about the complete games.
Yeah.
In getting ready for this series, on the 94 Indians.
Yeah.
I was doing some research about some things that stood about that team. You'll remember what stands out about 94 was they didn't have a World Series that year.
Right, of course, yeah.
The Indians got to 113 games. They were one game behind
The White Sox.
The White Sox for first place. They were in the wild card spot.
Yeah.
And they had, at that point in the season, Bolt, 113 games in, they had 17 complete games by their pitchers. You won't find a staff that gets to double digits in complete games again.
What's funny is the Guardians, just say since 2020, this decade, right? They've had one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. I don't know if they've had 17 complete games this decade.
I doubt very seriously that they've had it in this decade.
I don't even know if they've had 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's how much the game has changed. It's more specialized.
By the way, speaking of which, a real quick sidebar.
Sure.
My buddy and I, who's a huge baseball fan also, right before this morning, I was sitting here talking with him, and we were talking about how much pitching has changed and how Hall of Fame voters are going to have to look at pitchers differently.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to have a pitcher win 300 games. You're very rarely going to have a guy get 3,000 strikeouts. Guys just don't pitch enough innings.
The new bars are
and
lower.
You're going to have to look at it, because we were talking about, is Chris Sale a Hall of Famer? Is Zach Greinke a Hall of Famer? We were talking about some of those guys, and you're going to have to look at pitchers differently to get into the Hall of Fame.
That's a great point, Bull, because your gut is to say no,
right?
But that's by the old standard.
The old standard. We were even talking about Corey Kluber and Johan Santana, who for
Kluber's only got 100. He's low on it.
Right, but those guys for 5-6 years were the best pitchers in baseball.
Do you think that? How low will that bar go? Will it go to 200 wins?
Well, I don't even think. To me, I don't even think the wins should matter.
You don't count wins.
I care more about the ERA, the WHIP, the dominance, the Cy Youngs.
How long they were dominant.
Right,
too.
because think about it. Sandy Koufax is the one example from back in the day where he was great for 5-6 years. That was it.
That's it.
And then he got hurt. But so was Kluber, and so was Johan Santana.
Yeah,
and those guys will be interesting down the line.
Yeah, but the voters are going to have to change their bar because nobody's going to get, you said, I don't know that I looked this up in the offseason.
Yeah.
The pitcher closest to 300
is
Verlander.
Right.
But he's still from the old school era.
Sure, and he's still not going to get there, right? I mean, how does he have?
It's doubtable he'll get there.
Yeah.
He's already having arm issues.
I mean, how many does Kershaw have? You know, and
I think
Kershaw's
in the
a Hall
low
of Famer.
200s, but I don't think anybody's going to get to that old threshold. It's funny.
Yeah.
Remember, Cy Young won 511 games.
Right.
Remember,
holy cow.
Talk about
the unbreakable record in sports.
We had it on the show. We talked about the unbreakable records, and 60-70% of them were pitching recorks.
Yeah, they're just not going to be broken.
Yeah, no.
I wrote some notes. I'll go through them quickly because we got a lot to get to today. Shane Bieber obviously lights out.
Yeah.
6 scoreless, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, 4 hits. None of them were loud. None of them. They didn't even really record loud outs. He got a lot of ground ball outs.
And the one good hit, by the way, was the A's could have had something going, and Butler slid off the base, and it was a great play by Jose to stay with it.
Waiting for him to come off.
Yeah.
Patient, aggressive.
Yeah.
It's a veteran move by him to wait for the hand to come off the bag. I noticed, and we talked yesterday in the chat. I, like you, did not like him. He's so down in the lineup.
Right,
he's not a 7 hitter.
No, not in this lineup.
and so I can't imagine that he's going to live there all year. I said in the chat, and I'll repeat it here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Stephen Vogt a 2-month honeymoon.
That's fair.
I'm not going to nitpick all of the little things. I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to harp on them because he's new. He's figuring things out.
Sure.
He's clearly going to be a manager that does things differently. Tito, I think it's safe to say, was a by-the-book guy. He used analytics, but he was, for the most part, Jose Ramirez is a 3-hitter. You hit him in the 3 spot.
Well, and Miles Straw would still be on this roster.
Oh, no.
No question he would. Tito was in love with Miles Straw.
Yeah.
A couple of things I didn't like, I'm not going to harp on.
Yeah.
I just would have done it differently. And now it's only one game, small sample size, but the way it played out last night is exactly the way I felt it would play out. He's got Jose in the 2 spot. I don't like it. I know the idea is put him behind a guy that gets on base a lot.
Yeah.
He's going to see better pitches. If you looked at the game and the way it played out, Juan was 0 for his first 4.
Right.
He got on base in his 5th at-bat.
Yeah.
Jose, with a patient at-bat, got a pitch he could handle and almost hit one out. He got a triple that knocked in a run.
Yeah.
Prior to that, his at-bats looked middling. I know it's 5. It's a very small sampling size.
Yeah.
I just want him in a position, because you look at this lineup and you say, where are the runs going to come from? If he does hit 30 home runs and he's hitting in the lead or in the number 2 spot, his RBI total will be down.
We'll see how it plays out.
Right.
Yesterday, my bold prediction, you guys are going to give him in a little bit, was that, and bold predictions are things you're not expecting to happen.
Sure.
It's a small percentage. But I said that Brian Rocchio would be an all-star. Okay? I like Brian Rocchio. I'm really excited to give him an opportunity. If he plays well and he's batting ninth, well, then after the first time.
Yeah, you're resetting the lineup with a ninth
spot. Think about, as the two-hitter, how many more at-bats over the course of the season that might give Jose?
Yeah, they were – I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like 0.5 per game. And the reason I can remember that is because Aaron Judge, when he was going for 60 home runs, if you remember, Aaron Boone put him as the leadoff hitter.
That's true. Yeah.
And the whole idea was to get him more at-bats. And a lot of the statisticians were doing the math on that. How many more at-bats will he get if he's in the 1 as opposed to the 3, 4, or 5?
What I would do, though, Jay, is if you're going to hit Jose 2, I would hit Naylor 3, Josh Naylor.
It makes perfect sense.
If you're going to do that. Because Naylor is the second best hitter on the team. And so that's the best protection for Jose if you're going to put Jose in the 2 hole.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't play out that way.
You're right.
Yeah,
I complained about the lineup yesterday, but we do have to give it some time.
Also, like you, I was in agreement with you when you sent the text to the group about – that murderer's row in the middle of the lineup, Fry and Freeman. I thought for sure that they were going to struggle to score runs.
Yeah.
Just because the way the lineup was, Jose in the 2, Hemi way down in the bottom, and 4 and 5, or 5 and 6, I think. Or
5 and 6.
Yeah. And I just thought, that's not going to work. 5 of the 11 hits came from Fry and Freeman.
They both had a great game. Freeman, I loved when Freeman knocked in the first run with that double, and then he's like fired up. I thought that brought a lot of energy early. That's what you need from young players.
I loved his aggressiveness on the base run.
Yes, that was great base run.
90% of the time where that ball was hit, you stop it first. But because it was the start of the season and he wanted to get something going, he took the extra bag. It was a smart play.
It was predetermined. It was like one of them things where
off the bat.
In basketball, you're like, you know what? I'm shooting this 3 right quick.
Yeah. I'm taking the lane.
I'm driving to the hole.
I think that's a good point. He probably, in his mind, he said, I'm going.
If the Guardians are going to have success offensively, they've got to play like that.
They do.
They're not going to hit a ton of home runs. Hopefully it'll be up from last year, but we know they're not going to live and die by the home run. They've got to be aggressive on the base.
Yeah, now to that point, one of the things I jotted down was I did not love that Josh Naylor tried to steal a bag immediately after getting hit in the wrist.
That was I said in the text, I was like, it was almost like he was so pissed that he got hit. Maybe he was scared that he was going to be hurt, that he was hurt, that he's like, I don't know.
Oakland's catcher has a gun.
Yeah.
He was out by two steps.
I want to see Rocchio run and Naylor stay at first. He's the one guy.
That's a great idea.
He's the one guy I don't want running.
There were a couple of times, and we may have been chatting about it during the game in the text chain. There were a couple of times where I thought they would run.
Yes.
And I wanted to see them run just to get something going.
About that,
and they didn't. So that was a little odd.
Is this sustainable for Fry to give you 3 hits?
No.
I'm like, when I saw him at DH, I said, why?
Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah.
Why?
But
it worked. It worked.
Yeah. It was one game. It's a small sample size. And again, it's against Oakland. They're pitching. It is like they're playing a minor league team. I'm not going to make too many decisions based off this series.
No.
It's just 2 games, right?
4.
Oh, it is 4.
Yeah.
They have 4.
Then 3 at Seattle.
3 and 3.
Yeah.
And then they come home. So a 10-game road trip. That's like they've started on the road 7 straight years.
It's kind of better for weather-wise.
No, I understand that. It's good. You want to get the Midwest and the Northeast teams into warm locales. Yeah. Oakland's not a warm locale, by the way.
No.
But what's interesting is I was talking to Bart and to Curtis at spring training about this. I wanted to know whose genius idea was it to have opening day on the day of the eclipse. And they said it was an accident.
Yeah.
They had Major League Baseball normally would have had them home before that. But the Guardians said, we're going to need the extra time because we're renovating.
Right.
So we need every second, every minute of every day. So can you put us on the road for a little longer? And the way it worked out was we'll give you 3 series on the road to start, which is good. If they can come home 6-4 on a 10-game swing like that, bring a buzz.
I need a 7-3.
7-3 would be even better. But I'm saying that because the West Coast swing is always brutal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you get those 10 road games out of the way early, what that means is you have 81 of the last 152 on the road.
Right, yeah.
At home. Yeah. So, that gives you and the back end of the schedule should be home loaded.
And you look at the offseason gave you nothing to be excited about, right? There was no buzz for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like you and me that love baseball, we're going to be into it.
Yeah.
But for the casual fan, there was no buzz this offseason. So if they can get off to a good start, plus the eclipse and the women's Final Four and everything going on leading up to opening day,
it would be fun.
It's going to be exciting.
I think you hit the number on the head. I think 6-4, everybody would be pleased.
Yeah.
But 7-3, you get into 7-3 and even
buzz.
8-2.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, what do we have?
Right.
And I think that will really jumpstart the season.
And I'm telling you what, and you said something before the show. It's not like the Cavs got you like jumping out.
No, right now the Cavs stink.
And normally they would.
And so you get an opportunity because the people, it's the in between money. It's the in between fans that get you over.
Right.
And by the way, it's 10 days out, but I just looked at the forecast for home opener.
Yeah,
62 and sunny as of today when I looked at it.
Okay, now
would that be amazing?
I'll give you a warning with that.
Yeah.
My good friend upstairs, Betsy Kling,
she says it doesn't matter.
Chief meteorologist of Channel 3. We've had long discussions about, boy, look at that beautiful sky. That would be nice if we had a day like that. And look, I'm not going to piss on that forecast. Maybe it is going to be great. Right. I hope it is. But Betsy has told me that forecasting is a very tricky game. You can, with pretty good certainty, give you 24 hours. When you start to get to 72 hours, there's a lot of variables that could change. It's weather. By definition, it changes. But when you start getting to 5, 7, and 10,
it's a crapshoot.
What you're really looking at, there is some model play that comes in, but what you're mostly looking at are averages and history. Your average high, your average low.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Why don't you just plagiarize? I'm going off. Hey, what Al Roker say? It's going to be sunny and 60.
I mean, there's a lot of agreement.
But I bring up this. This happened to be on Weather Channel because I use WKYC's forecast, but they don't go as many days ahead as Weather Channel does, which I get.
And that's why Betsy says
even on WKYC they give you a week.
Yeah. And I think on the weekends they give you 10 days.
Yeah, okay.
I think. Or maybe it's at 11 o'clock we give you 10 days. I'm not sure.
Things your parents do. Wake up and check the forecast.
Oh, absolutely.
At all times.
That should be I'm sure Progressive in their you're going to grow up and be your parents ads. I'm sure at some point they've done the weather
Did you see the one with LL Cool J?
It's one of my favorites. Don't freak out.
Listen,
but
Boo, I saw you doing that.
So good.
Boo, that is you. I see he tries to play it cool at first.
I've got a video of my nephew playing the piano.
Yeah, this is my kid's little league team. You want to see it?
It's so good. I love. They make us laugh because they're true.
Those commercials are the best. That guy who plays the doctor is phenomenal.
He's really good.
He is the best.
He's really good. Okay, one other note because I know we got to go. I thought, and this is maybe it is confirmation bias. When I was in Arizona. I heard a lot of talk that there's going to be a pivot in their offensive philosophy. They're going to be more aggressive. They're not going to be so afraid to swing and miss. I thought, and maybe again it was confirmation bias, but to me it felt like the Guardians were more aggressive early in the count, where in past years, and this was Tito's message, they were spitting on pitches that were too good to spit on.
Right.
I thought last night when there were down the middle fastballs to open a count, guys were going for it. And I hope to see that trend because that's leads to more offensive production in my view.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to strike out.
Yeah.
Okay, Earl, we probably went a little longer than planned, but my bad.
You're all good, man. So if you're trying to get down to Progressive Field to see the Cleveland Guardians this year, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. All you have to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. So make sure you download Game Time if you're trying to get down to the game. Jay, G, you all were not here yesterday. Bull, Jason, and Tyvis gave their big, bold predictions for the Cleveland Guardians this year. So we are curious to know what you got cooked up for your big, bold predictions.
You want to go first, G?
Yeah, man. Let me listen. I said this to Mike. Let me get.
What were they? So mine was Rocchio to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
What was
Jason and Tyvis?
I can't remember now. Tyvis said that the Guardians would finish at the top 15 in home runs. That's a bold prediction.
They're going to hit more homers. I think they're going to hit 150 home runs this year.
That wouldn't get them into the top 15.
No, it would not.
I think last year the 15th team was the Cubs, and they hit 170 something.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to be in the top 15.
And see, I said to Jason, this was not bold enough.
Thank you. I was going to say that.
I mean, I think that's not a shock if that happens.
A couple of weeks ago, we had the discussion.
Yeah.
Which of the Guardians' 5 starting pitchers You know, in other words, like handicap the Cy Young race just amongst the Guardian starters, and we were all like, I don't think it would be a shock if any of these guys won it.
This is where G. Bush really comes into effect. Operation Stockpile is here. This is Operation Knee Jerk, because I'm going crazy on these right here. I said the Guardians' young arms stay healthy and become the top rotation in the American League.
I don't think that's a stretch either.
I don't think
that's not a bold prediction, Jay.
Hold on.
Now, you said all of baseball?
All of baseball.
Now, there was, I think MLB.com put their rotation rankings out
I didn't
there,
see them.
And I think the Guardians were 9th.
So
wow.
And we looked at it yesterday. Jason and I thought we would move them up a spot or two to maybe 7.
So I said that. So that is
I'm
bold.
way high on them.
But that is bold.
Yeah.
Now I got more seasoning.
Yeah.
I use more seasoning. The Naylor brothers combined for 40 home runs plus. Okay. I got more seasoning.
Yeah, I can see that.
Jose Ramirez, 30 home runs.
All right.
I can see all of that.
This is the big one. Guardians win 94 games.
Okay,
now
that's
bold.
a stretch.
There it is.
That's bold.
See how you
That
make
is
them
bold.
wait for it? That is how you do it.
That is bold.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Now I
94.
feel bad because I don't know how often this happens. Bull, you can help me on this.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens very often.
Yeah.
But again, talking about this staff, it kind of reminds me how much I love it. My bold prediction was very simple, that they would have 3 starters win 15 games. 15 is kind of the new 20.
Yeah.
And
that is hard because guys
it's
just
hard.
don't go deep into games.
Right, they don't. Now, there have been times where I know the Orioles had 4 20-game winners once in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been done a time or two. I don't know that the Braves' great staff of the
That's
90s
very
actually
rare.
ever had 4 20-game winners.
I think
the Indians in the 40s or 50s
I'm trying to think
had
if
4
that,
20-game
if that
winners.
86 Mets team that had
Fernandez, Gooden, they may have. Ojeda, they may have
Sid
had.
Fernandez.
Yeah, they were really good.
I don't know if I don't think they all won 20 games, but
they were good.
that is bold. I think it's a long. I mean, I could see Bieber and Bybee. I think
McKenzie. I think McKenzie's going to bounce
I just worry
back.
that he's not going to pitch. No, I think he'll be good, but he's not a guy who I expect to go deep into games enough to get those wins.
Yeah, possible.
It's hard.
So that does qualify, because if you say it's a bold prediction, okay.
Yeah, I think
the other one that hit me while I was watching the game last night when I was said after one inning, oh wow, he has no hit stuff. My other bold prediction is Shane Bieber is going to pitch a no hitter this year. The drought will end.
That's definitely bold.
It is bold because you're predicting,
something that hasn't happened in over 40 years.
Hasn't happened for a long time for this.
I just don't want to get no hit again. I've seen the Guardians get no hit way too many
the Guardians
times.
have been
Indians
no hit
a couple of years ago were no hit 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was one of my. I mean,
Yeah.
like one of the low points of this franchise.
Yeah.
And they weren't a bad team.
No, it was weird.
But they got no hit, I think 3 or 4 times.
It was crazy that year.
Might be a record.
Yeah.
How much they were
So
no hit.
I got a question.
Okay.
If I was to say Gabriel Arias and Bo Naylor combines for 40 home runs this year, is that like a bold prediction?
Yeah.
That would be
very bold.
That would be Bo Naylor got 35 of them home runs.
Yeah. Arias not in the starting lineup. He's going to get at bats, but
It was a lefty pitcher though, so he'll
Right.
he'll
I mean,
play against righties somewhat.
he will play.
Yeah.
Look,
Arias
I'm with you. I think Bo's going to have to hit 30.
Listen, if you told me Arias hit 10 home runs, I'd be thrilled at this point.
It would be a huge bonus.
I think to expect a second year catcher who hasn't played much in the big leagues to hit 30 home runs is not real.
By the way, I need to see him the rest of these 3 games. I don't stop.
Well, he's only catching 2 of them. I hope
That's
he'll DH
crazy.
the other one.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that early on.
And again, I get what Hedges brings defensively. The guy just can't hit.
It's funny. He came up with some really big spots last night.
He did.
I mean,
he had one hit. We already debated that one. That was an error.
Yeah.
So and here's the thing. I get it. It seems like they're like, we brought him in as a free agent. Yeah. We got to at least play him 72 games.
I don't mind if they use I just want
what's your
Naylor
number?
to play.
How many games should Hedges catch? Because I've got a number in mind.
If it were me, I'd have him catch 30 games.
That's my number.
Give or take.
I want Bo Naylor to play 130 games.
Right.
I want.
And if it's going to be a little more, Jay, then let Naylor DH a dozen games also. You know what I'm saying?
So at
if
least
you
his
want to
bat
let
is
him
in the
catch
lineup.
120, fine. Have him DH 12 games because he should be one of their their third or fourth best hitter, I think.
Is he Bieber? Like, I thought maybe he was Bieber's.
No,
that's what everybody was saying when I complained about it.
And Vogt was a catcher in his career.
Yeah.
He handled pitchers. I'm sure if there was a Bieber-type pitcher on the staff that went to Vogt and said, look, I only feel comfortable with X, then the manager would be prone to maybe not every start, but he's going to
But that's really
oblige.
rare.
But it is rare.
John Lester had that with David Ross.
Yeah, I think it was more common 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. I thought back in the day they used to do it all the time.
It was more
common back in the day. But I think today, if you're a major league catcher, you can handle a pitcher.
And again,
the problem is, unless just a knuckleballer.
Yes,
a lot of
that's
times
different.
guys hate catching knuckleballers.
Doug Mirabelli used to be a guy who would catch Wakefield.
Absolutely.
But the
Candyman.
The problem is, again, I know Hedges is a great guy. I don't mean to be mean to him personally. He knows it. He said it. He just can't hit.
Yeah.
His career batting average is like 170.
It's not that low, is it?
I think it is.
No, it's not that low. It's got to be in the twos. Please check that.
Nah.
I could have sworn that Hammy said that last night.
We need elevator music.
I'm going to look at it right now. But
man, I hope it's higher than 170. I would have remembered if it was that low. I think it's in the
189.
God dang. 189.
All right, it wasn't 170, but it's. I mean, the guy's got a career batting average under 200.
Yeah, no,
he's got to be the only player in baseball like that with enough at bat. He's got 2,000 career at bats.
Yeah, well, you know what? It speaks to his value that he's been around that long.
There's no doubt. As a backup catcher, he is great, but. I mean, he's a zero at the plate, unfortunately. But they didn't need him yesterday.
They didn't, thankfully. There are going to be games where he's in there, where he's going to come up in positions where they're going to need that stick.
Yeah.
And maybe then you pinch hit.
Right.
If he came up last night, as he did late in the game with the bases loaded, in a 1-0 game, then Bo Naylor goes in.
100%.
And that's the right move to make.
Did you guys talk about this? What's the magic number for this division?
I think it's going to take at least 90. But low 90s.
I don't agree.
Wow. I just can't see someone winning a division with fewer than 90.
88 maybe. 89.
I don't agree. I think Minnesota
won it last year. Minnesota won 90 last year.
But I don't think they're as good, and I don't think anybody's better than they were last year.
I'm not sure they're as good either. That's a good point.
I think Minnesota went backwards. I think the Guardians are the same, I'll say. I think Detroit.
I'm going to say the Guardians are better strictly because they're paid. They only won 76 last year.
Ooh. No,
But their pitching was decimated.
They were injured. Right? The roster didn't really change.
The roster is.
It's just got to be healthier.
Hey, did Oscar Gonzalez make the Yankees opening day?
No.
So where is he?
He's in AAA with them.
So he took the assignment.
Might have gotten hurt right at the end of spring training too.
Yeah. 2023 American League Central Division standings. Minnesota won a division, winning 87 games.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be like between 85 and 87.
That was really down year.
But here, I'll tell you this. Here's a bold prediction for you. I say that the Twins, the Guardians, the Tigers, and the Royals will all finish within 8 games of each other.
So you're saying it'd basically be a 500 division?
I think it's going to be all close. I think they'll all finish between 85 and 78.
You know what's funny?
White Sox terrible.
A couple of years ago, the Braves, last year, look at the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Right. They were the 5 and the 6 seed.
Yeah. They didn't burn the world down.
Diamondbacks clinched on the last day of the season.
I know they did. Yeah. And then make a long run. The Rangers, same thing. 2 years ago when the Braves won it, they were under 500 on August 10th.
So were the Nats a few years ago.
A couple
when
years
they
back.
won. Yeah.
So I like the plan for this team. We ran part of my interview with Stephen Vogt yesterday on the 5 o'clock show that I did when I was out in Goodyear about, it was a very pointed question. 2024 will be a successful season if, and I asked that question to all the guys. He was the one that answered it most directly and the only one that used either the words playoffs or World Series. And he started his answer with, if we win the World Series.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I mean, I know that no one, I don't think, is going to pick them, but if you want to throw a flyer on a long shot at the start of the season, they're probably one of the smartest teams to do it with because, as you know, you still need offense, but great pitching can win a World Series.
Absolutely. Listen, the great thing about baseball is if you make the playoffs, you can win the World Series. You never go to the baseball playoffs and say, this team can't win. I mean, that doesn't happen. Like we said, the Rangers were the 5 seed last year, and the Diamondbacks were the 6. So
Get in.
They barely made the playoffs, those two teams.
It feels kind of crazy.
Diamondbacks won like 84 games last year.
It's less fulfilling almost. I think if you win, okay, if you win, like you're going to take it. But if you compare it to like basketball or football, like you pretty much know who's going to win. Like the best teams
Football,
win.
most of the teams that get in have at least a chance as long as you have a quarterback.
Basketball,
I said Jason disagreed with me. He'd give him at least a little bit of a chance. But I said, there's no way the Cavs can win a championship. There's no chance.
They would have to start playing again like they did for that 20-game stretch after the first year.
They would have to have guys that just woke up and played out of their mind.
I don't know.
In baseball,
there are teams that I would tell you in the NBA, no chance. And I'm talking about playoff teams, not the guys that aren't going to go. There's just teams that will be in the playoffs that have zero chance. I think the Cavs have a small single-digit chance, but they're a long shot.
If you poll people in the street and say who won the World Series last year, there'll be a lot of people that
don't know.
Most people wouldn't.
And think about it. The two teams in the American League that most people are picking to go to the World Series this year, the Astros and the Orioles, like those teams, the Orioles got Corbin Burns from the Brewers. It was a great trade. He was great on opening day.
They have to recreate some magic that's not easy to recreate,
Yeah,
by the way.
and listen, their lineup's fantastic. They got amazing young players. But their rotation outside of Burns is nothing special.
I thought because of their rotation last year, they overachieved by a ton.
Now, Burns makes a difference because he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
It changes their rotation.
But the rest of their rotation in the playoffs, like the Mariners, deep rotation. If the Rangers can get DeGrom and Scherzer healthy, deep rotation.
Yeah,
but the Guardians have a rotation to play with anybody if they're healthy. And if they make the playoffs, I'm going to assume it's going to be healthy to get there.
It would be great. And if they do, it's funny. They could be the 2 seed or the 3 seed.
Yeah.
But it's in baseball.
It doesn't
win one road game and you erase 15 wins.
Right.
From somebody in the regular season.
Yeah.
So it's a big eraser when you get in the playoffs if you can just win one road game. Before we move on from this, we did the same thing upstairs. We do it every year. We do it's a bold predictions. Our digital staff puts together like 6 or 7 questions, and then they send it out to the newsroom. Usually 15 people or so reply. And I was reading through some of the replies yesterday, and one of the bold predictions was that Shane Bieber re-signs a long-term deal to stay here in Cleveland. And a year ago, I would have told you that's completely off the table.
Yeah.
And I still think he's going to move.
Yeah.
And I think that the Guardians' most difficult decision they'll have to make this year is what to do with him at the trade deadline.
Well, if they're in it.
If you're within 3 games, you cannot trade Shane Bieber. You can't. Now, you run the risk then of getting nothing for him.
Because I don't buy they're going to sign him.
Well,
the
reason I think that is doable, I still think he won't, but the reason I feel more inclined to at least give that some time is that we know that the Guardians now have a minority partner, and he is willing, if you look at his track record with his other pro sports franchises, he spends money.
But they spent nothing this offseason.
And follow this logic. Perhaps they spent nothing because they're all in on Bieber or bust. And here's what I mean by that. Last year they went to the free agent well, and not only was it dry, it turned up puke. It was awful. I mean, Bell, when he was here, was a pig. He got much better when he went to Miami.
Yeah.
But Zunino's out of baseball.
Right.
So they spent a lot of money poorly. So in talking to Antonetti, when I brought that up with him, one of the things he said was, we tried that last year. This year we want to look at the kids. Let's just say they're in a really good spot in July. I think they're more likely to do a deal with Bieber because they didn't spend any money this year.
I hope you're right.
Maybe I'm being overly optimistic.
But if he has a great year, he's going to he can be able to get a $200 million contract.
And he knows that.
At least 150, 170 minimum. And I'd be shocked if they do it. But, I mean, that would be cool. It would be a franchise changer if they did something like that. But I don't know. Going with the kids, last thing, I mean, just like, you see Nolan Jones and some of these guys. But it's old news. We're on to this here.
It is. All right. That's our bold prediction segment. What do you have, Earl?